Hey guys, it's me, it's Queen Osetta, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. The other day, someone sent me a message in the comments, I think, and she said, what is the divine masculine and the divine feminine? If you're on YouTube and you're, scrolling around looking at different spiritual topics, sometimes you'll come across these terms. The divine masculine and divine feminine are not New Age terms, even though they are used by multiple New Age as well as all kinds of other sources. The divine masculine and the divine feminine is a concept as old as the hills. Okay, what it basically is the feminine and the masculine principles and characteristics. Okay, the divine, the good, the positive aspects of that. So when you look at the divine masculine and the divine feminine, some would call it the Lord and the Lady. Some would call it the yin and yang, for example. It's just the duality. It's the duality of these two opposites. So feminine energy is the mothering energy. Masculine energy is the fathering energy. So it's just these principles. But when they say divine in front of it, is you're only talking about God and Goddess. So many traditions such as Hindu, Egyptian, Wicca, a whole bunch of different traditions use a masculine and a feminine. And this is one thing that I learned to be very true in my lifetime, because I've had different times when my life was more masculine or more feminine heavy. When I was younger, I was underneath the Abrahamic religion, Catholicism, and my whole life was dominated by my stepfather's masculine energy, basically. And then as I got older and free of that tyranny, I made it, all about the feminine, all about my female friends and my girls. And, it was all about that energy. And what I noticed from being in both of those energies is that it's not balanced. So the energy I'm in now at this point in my life is masculine and feminine. See, the balance of everything, and I got that. That's what the divine feminine, divine masculine is about. It's about the balance of those two spirits, because everything is those two things. Every human being, everything is the combination of those two things, the masculine and the feminine principle, the whole universe. And when you listen to people from the Hindu tradition, they break it down. They break it down like, what elements are masculine, what elements are feminine, what portion east versus west is masculine and feminine. I mean, they break it down, They've done a lot of study on this. And what I'm saying to you is that this is an ancient understanding, and it's a lot more to it than what I'm saying here. If you really want to research the divine masculine and the divine feminine, you will find thousands of resources, because in order to answer this question, I looked up a couple facts to be able to, tell you. And I found book after book after book, video after video. It's lots of information on this aspect, but that's basically, when you break it down, it's about the divinity of the feminine and the masculine. So you look at like Set and Sar from ancient Kemet. That's the concept of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And in a lot of the Abrahamic traditions, the woman is stripped of her divinity. We're taken from that position. That's why I love practicing Mayat, because there's duality and there's an evenness to the energy. There's balance. Whenever your spiritual system is heavier in one way or another, because there are women who have like female traditions, where they worship the goddess, they don't have any masculine energy. And there's also the opposite, where it's all masculine, all male priests, women can't have any power. I've been in both energies, and the balance is really where it's at. And that's what I love about practicing Mayat. So when you look at these concepts, when you see Shiva and his wife, Pavarate, I think is her name, and he had several wives now to think about it, but Shiva and his other half, whenever you see them depicted as a family, because I think his first wife was murdered think he murdered her by accident or something like that. I don't remember the mythology, but his first wife died, and then he, the reincarnation of her, it was his second wife, and then they had children. So when you look at the different, mythologies from the ancient times, they all talk about the goddess and the god. They understood that you can't have life without both. That's why our societies are so imbalanced now, because what you have is a constant friction between the masculine and the feminine. You constantly have the brothers talking about how the sisters do them wrong, and you constantly have the sisters talking about how the brothers do them wrong, and there's a constant friction here, but there's never any solutions. There's never any love. There's never anything that is, put on the situation to solve it and to bring back the balance of the masculine and the feminine. And some would say that the divine feminine is coming back, because remember, as the patriarchy took over, they stripped women of their power and took us from our divine status. Now the divine feminine is starting to raise back up as we learn about the goddess. So we're taking women back to that space of divinity where men already were, but there was a weakness there because they were missing their other half. So that's what the energy is all about. It's all about the balance between the two sides. And this is true about anything. Like if you look at any human being, they have a spirit and they have energy and they have hormones that are masculine and feminine. We all just, not even all of us, some of us when we're born, we have more on one side or the other side, But now as time is progressing, we're seeing that it's really about the balance of the two. That's how you become a balanced human being, is by balancing out both sides of yourself. Balancing out your masculine and balancing out your feminine. Because if you're all yang, you're just all power all the time. You're all, assertion all the time. But you're not soft. You're not compassionate. You're not merciful. You're just constantly, arr, arr, arr. So it's all about balancing those two. So that's what the divine masculine and divine feminine is in a nutshell. Now, like I said, if you want to do further research, look at the Hindu tradition. Look at the ancient Egyptian tradition, the Cometians and the Kemetic tradition. Those will give you a good understanding. And all it is look at the gods and the goddesses. That's what the energy is about. Man and woman in our flesh human form make a lot of mistakes. But in our God and goddess form, we are divinity. And all that divinity is the goodness in us. The good possibilities. And this is the part that we actually focus on the least. So the divine feminine is the best that femininity has to offer. The divine masculine is the best that masculinity has to offer. And when we all try to embody those energies and follow behind those role models, we become the best versions of ourselves. I hope it helps. Thanks for your question.